Thanks, everybody. Yeah, I guess you can hear me okay. Thank you. Okay, let's see. All right, so I'm here today to talk to you about the power of blockchain society, and in particular, the ripple effects of blockchain on society. Just really quick, I was already introduced. My name is Doro Unger-Lee. I'm from Algorand Foundation. If you want to connect with me, go ahead, and I'm here all day, so I look forward to talking to all of you. So I want to make one thing clear. I'm from Algorand, I'm not from Ripple, and the ripples I mean are these ones here. So I mean the cascading effect of blockchain technology. Yesterday I posted on Twitter, hey, can people tell me their stories about how blockchain affected their life? And one person was like, well, you really shouldn't call it the ripple effect. So apologize for the name. So let's talk about the cascading effect of blockchain. So I'm preaching to the choir here, but as you all know, blockchain technology is already changing our lives in all sorts of realms, right? From travel, ticketing, payments, you name it, blockchain is changing the world. But for the interest of today's talk, I want to focus on financial inclusion. And I'm going to talk about this topic in 4 different sections. So first of all, I'm going to address where we stand today in terms of financial inclusion. Then we will go over, what can blockchain do to address financial exclusion? What are the ripple effects of technology in the financial inclusion space? And then, are we there yet? And the answer is, and for those of you who have kids, you probably know the answer is not quite. We're not quite there yet. I'll get into that. So financial inclusion, and Robert touched on this already, so we have almost 2 billion people on the world who are unbanked. So what does unbanked mean? Unbanked means is you don't have a bank account, you don't have access to a credit card, you don't have access to an ATM, you can't apply for a mortgage, you can't even get a little micro loan for like $20, right? What I found was really surprising, and I don't know if you can see the number here, it's from 2021, that in Western and Central Europe, we still have 6% of people who are unbanked, and I didn't know that. I thought that number, while small, is still surprising. But then in the United States and North America, you have over 20% of people who do not have a bank account. So if you look at this chart, that's also from 2021, you can see how your skin color and your income correlates to the factor if you have a bank account or not. So the poorer you are, the darker your skin is, the less likely you have access to a bank account, to a loan, to sending a simple payment, to write a check. But on the other hand, we see more and more smartphones being used, especially in developing countries, right? And even feature phones like Robert displayed earlier on his slide. And especially in a country like Afghanistan, that's really broken and falling apart. We have 27 million Afghanis who have a mobile phone, and 9 million of those even have a smartphone. So there's a lot of opportunity with having access to a mobile phone. So why are these unbanked people unbanked? Well, if you look at it, why people do not have a bank account is because their lives aren't stable, and traditional banking services and financial products are catered for people who are literate, who are digitally literate, who have stable lives in stable environments. And for us, that's no problem, but if you live in Sudan or in Afghanistan, that's very much a problem. So again, just to underline it, so there's almost 2 billion people in the world who don't have access to a safe way to store their funds, right? Even if they have a little bit of cash, they can't put it in the bank because the bank is not trustworthy, or they don't even have identity to get a bank account. They have no access to loans, and they have no access to assets. So they can't invest, they can't build wealth in any shape or form. So what does blockchain offer here? And blockchain offers obviously a lot, but the interest of this talk, I'm going to focus on 3 things. So blockchain offers democratized, that's the key word here, access to assets. I'm going to talk about disaster relief, and I'm also going to talk about humanitarian aid payments. And I will give you some examples from the Algorand ecosystem. So when you think of asset, what is like a traditional asset that we all want, that our parents instilled in us, we should have? It's your own house. So in German, we say, schaffe, schaffe, Häusle baue, right? Like you work hard, you can get your home, and then you will have made it when you have that white picket fence. Well, again, if you have a low income and you don't have access to traditional banking, that's going to be kind of tough, right? So I want to introduce you to Lofty, which is a tokenized real estate platform built on Algorand. They're coming out of the Y Combinator in the United States. And they offer tokenized real estate on their platform, where you can start investing with as little as $50 into a rental property, into a normal property, or even an Airbnb. And again, have that picture in your mind of the ripples in the water earlier that I showed you. So if I have $50 every month left over, I can invest it, and then I make a little bit of extra money every month. What can I do with that money? Maybe I can pay off finally my credit card debt, or maybe I can start taking an online course, or maybe I can buy a mobile phone for my kid, right? Like, think of what can you do with all these opportunities. Next, I'm going to touch on disaster relief, and that's a topic Robert touched on as well. So even now, when disaster hits, let's say you're in Florida and a hurricane hits your house and the roof is off, the electricity is off, your house is flooded. For you to get help from organizations like at FEMA or in volunteer organizations, you need to fill out a ton of paperwork, and I kid you not, it takes like 6 months to get help. So in the 6 months, you're there with your house and it's flooded and there's no roof over your head. You can't go to work, your kids can't go to school. That's pretty horrible, right? And at the same time, for the organizations that are giving out the funds, they need to verify that you are really you, that you're really eligible. They need to take that paper, put it in the computer. I mean, there's so much overhead. So we work together with a project called ATEC that Robert touched on earlier, and their Care Wallet. And so what the Care Wallet does, it connects digital identity together with a payment solution. So people who are affected by a disaster can set up and can get KYC'd in the Care Wallet app, and the aid organization can disseminate the aid with a push of a button. And the good thing is, the aid organization then can tell what the person spent the money on, and they can also prevent double dipping or fraud, and they can also make sure that the funds are actually used, because it is also a real issue that funds are sitting around unused and not getting to the people who need them. That is a fact. So with the help of the Care Wallet, the aid organizations can help faster, more cost effectively, and more transparently. And as an aid recipient, you're mostly not struck by disaster once, right? If you live in Florida, you may get a hurricane every few years that affects you in one shape or form. So then you can have already shown your identity, you have proven who you are, and you can get access to help much quicker. And as a last example, I want to touch on humanitarian aid. So traditionally, humanitarian aid was delivered on a plane full of cash, was flown to the area where the help was needed. Somebody had to take the cash and give it to a person in their hand. That's expensive, it's anything but carbon neutral, it's not safe, and it's a very opaque process. And unfortunately, as you all know, there's more and more people in need who need access to funds in a safe manner. And at the same time, aid organizations have less and less money available to them. And they need to make sure that that money that they have available actually goes to the recipients and is not used towards fees and planes and getting the cash. So here I want to touch on Hesab Pay, and Robert mentioned them earlier too. So Hesab Pay has been founded by an Afghan entrepreneur for Afghanistan. And the payments app can be used also to pay your invoice, to pay your friend, but the main use case is to deliver cash-based aid. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about a study with the London School of Economics in a minute. But what they found is pretty much they can get help to people quicker, faster, safer, and cheaper. So imagine if you are a widow in Afghanistan, and traditionally you would have to walk maybe for 5 hours with your little kids alone to get $40. But now instead you can get the funds digitally on your feature phone or on your smartphone, or if you're not have access to either option, you can also get access via a QR code. You don't even have to be able to read. They have robocalls that tell you over the phone what's happening. So this is a very inclusive application. So again, I show you this little circle. So think about all the things that are coming out of this, right? If I can get help quicker after disaster strikes, I may not be having to quit my job, right? I can continue going to work because I know help is underway. If I get access to aid safely, I can buy food and my kids don't have to be hungry. Or if I can make that extra little bit of money by investing in a tokenized real estate, maybe I can finally buy a car and get a better job or get access to other resources that I normally don't have. So here I want to tell you a little bit about the London School of Economics studies. And this list, I'm sure you all came up in your head too when you're thinking about these use cases and how they align with the SDGs. So the London School of Economics, the World Food Programme, and Hisabe got together and they did a study. They're like, okay, let's see if this really works. They took a few women-led households in Afghanistan and they gave them the money via the app rather than in cash, and they compared the two. And they trained the women how to use a smartphone or gave them a QR code. They built a network of agents where the women could either cash out and do whatever they wanted with the money, or they could buy food for their families. And what the London School of Economics found is that over 90% of the women did not cash out. They bought food for their families. They also accelerated the local economy because these agents who were in the shops were making money. And they had no problem using the application. So the World Food Programme was able to see who used the money, where did they use it, and for what. And the bottom line is that it led to less skipped meals, and hunger is a real problem in Afghanistan. And it led to no fraud or no abuse. So these women were able to buy food for their families safely, the agents were increasing income, and the cost per transaction was extremely low compared to fiat hard cash handing out the money. And what was interesting was when they scaled it up, so when they did the math, okay, what if instead of 2,000 women, we cater to 200,000 women? The cost per transaction via HesaPay that runs on Algorand is actually much, much lower. So I think it went from 6 US cents to 2 US cents per dollar. So it's really, really very low. So are we there yet? So we have all these shiny solutions and we have these horrible problems. So it sounds like we're all set and we can all go home and watch the Euro Cup or enjoy the sun. Well, the answer is we're not quite, but I want to suggest a few pathways on how we can actually get there. So first of all, we need to have the right technology. So Algorand, as you probably know, is a layer 1 blockchain protocol founded by this friendly fella here, Professor Silvio Micali. He's a Turing Award winner. He also co-invented zero-knowledge proofs and verifiable random functions, which are core blockchain technology elements. And if you want to remember one thing about Algorand, it's obviously Silvio's smile, but then also instant block finality is the term that you want to remember. So we have instant block finality. We can do up to 10,000 transactions per second. We've been on mainnet since 2019. We had 0 downtime, and we're carbon neutral. So we have a technology that's cheap, it's environmentally friendly, and it's fast. Secondly, we need to build capacity. So I'm sure many of you know, either with colleagues or friends, or when you go to any sort of networking event, a lot of people don't really understand what blockchain is. And as Robert already outlined, we partner with the United Nations Development Program to train their staff how blockchain works and how they can apply it. And I want to make clear is we're not turning them into smart contract developers, but we're explaining to them the core concepts of what blockchain is and how does it matter to them. How can they bring that to the country office in Morocco, and how can they help the Moroccans use blockchain technology to create positive impact. We just did the first beta run this spring with people from 6 different UN organizations, and the feedback's been overwhelmingly positive. We're going to do the next run later this year, and as Robert said, to over 100,000 UN staff in the world. Then we also need to share knowledge, and events like this are obviously wonderful, especially in a university setting. So at Algorand last year, we held an impact summit in New Delhi, India. And what we did there, we focused only on blockchain technology and its use for positive impact. So the crowd was very different, right? It's not like a bunch of DGen and blockchain enthusiasts, but it was entrepreneurs, it was regulators, government representatives, technical and non-technical people from all over the world who came together to learn about the real-world application of blockchain. Later this month, actually next week already, yeah, we have Decipher in Barcelona, which is our annual flagship conference where we celebrate the ecosystem. We have people come in, entrepreneurs and builders from the space, and where we talk about use cases, applications, and going forward. And then we obviously also do free technical trainings for developers. But we not only need to do that, we also need to be part of a conversation that enables innovation, right? So that can mean we want to invest in projects that create real-world impact. We want to have open communication with governments and regulators. And we also have partnerships like the one with the United Nations Development Program. And one initiative that we're really proud of, and we're going to do the announcement next week, so you're getting a little sneak peek, is our cash-based assistance in humanitarian crises advisory council. You had to see me, I had to look on the board because the name is a mouthful. Internally, we call it the Payments Council. So what we do there, we got together a bunch of key players in the space. So we have Circle, WorldPay, UNDP, WFP, different payments applications such as Quantos and HesabPay. We got them all together, and we're talking about how can we scale blockchain-based payment solutions for these billions and billions of humanitarian aid that's getting paid out, and how can we implement that in various regions. So we're going to meet next week in person after weeks and weeks of meeting virtually, and it's really great to have such powerful partners and to see WorldPay and Circle also like really believing in the cause. So that's it from me. If you're in Barcelona next week, come and join us. I'll also be in Istanbul the week after. And join us on the learning journey on Algorand. And yeah, I hope it give you a little insight into financial inclusion and how Algorand, blockchain technology in general, can be leveraged for that. Thank you very much.